Well, that's one way to end the regular season. Kansas football defeats Cincinnati 49-16 on the road to cap the 2023 regular season. Kansas wins 8 games for the first time since the 2008 season. Michael Swain here. Let's get that out of the way. Here to break down everything that we saw and look ahead to what's going to be a pretty busy month. In the first quarter, I was a little concerned. It's been a pretty draining month for Kansas. You think back to the Oklahoma game, going on the road to Iowa State, the Texas Tech game coming down to the wire, and the K-State game being everything that it is. I had some concerns about KU being able to ratchet up the intensity for one final time. It's 2 days after Thanksgiving. It's a challenging spot to be in, and you saw KU come out with a slow start, but then once they figured things out and dominated for about 45 minutes. And I think you can look at the margin of victory in this game, right? The biggest KU has had all season. And you factor in, right, Missouri State, Nevada, UCF. Like, this was a emphasis, an exclamation mark to this season, which has been so positive for KU. And I think season finales always get you. You're reflecting on the season, you're looking ahead to next year, and I think that maybe influences your takeaways from a game. And it really has for me, because I'm thinking back to Jason Bean. If he doesn't overthrow that 2-point conversion against Arkansas, he probably doesn't come back. And if Jason Bean doesn't come back, this season goes entirely differently with what's happened with Jalen Daniels. And I think this performance was a great way for Bean to cap his regular season career in college. This was maybe his best game of college ever. You look what he did, right? 250 yards passing, over 70% completion rate. The runs on the ground, right? Cincinnati was poorly coached. They didn't look prepared for some of those runs, and Bean took full advantage. 90 yards rushing on 2 rushes. It was impressive. And so I'm sitting here thinking, hey, how different would this season look if Jason Bean had decided to move on or decided to go somewhere else to finish his college career? But he's at Kansas, and Kansas has won 8 games this season, in large part because of the way that Jason Bean has played. Now, granted, right, I think we've had this conversation a lot in these videos. He's not perfect, and we've seen those deficiencies at times this season. But it's very rare that you find perfect quarterbacks in college football either. So it's worth keeping that perspective. Other things that stood out, man, I think KU's improvement in the trenches really shows up in a game like this. It took a while. Cincinnati loaded the box. It took KU passing the ball for the run game to start showing up. But once the box started to lighten and the numbers game started to be a little more even, you saw the physicality that Kansas plays with on the offensive line. And look, Cincinnati's got some dudes on the defensive line. Their nose guard is really good. They've got some decent defensive ends, and KU was able to out-physical those guys for the last 30 minutes. You look at KU's defensive line, and Cincinnati ran the ball right in the first half, and I think you can look at maybe other positions as well, maybe not being at their best, and I just think you continue to see Kansas take steps forward in the physicality department. And like I said, after the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati was a group of 5 team playing a Power 5 conference schedule, and you saw that. And that's what Cincinnati is too, right? Scott Satterfield is going to take some time to build the program. Part of me doubts maybe if he'll ever do it. But Cincinnati did not look the part, and Kansas demolished them, which is what you expected them to do. So now what's next? Well, you're waiting for the bowl game now. And it's not going to happen until next Sunday, right? December 3rd. That's when we'll figure it out. We'll have to see how kind of the rest of the Big 12 slate shakes out with the college football playoff spots, the New Year's Six bowls, and then from there, obviously, it'll whittle its way down to KU. But between now and the time that Kansas kicks off its bowl game in late December, a lot's going to happen. There's some guys that might decide to transfer. There are guys that might decide to go to the NFL. Kansas is going to need players to leave to get portal spots to go and build out this roster and fill some of the holes that will be leaving after this year. Kansas can return a lot, but they're also going to lose some production, right? You look at the quarterback room, Jason Bean, Cole Ballard has come on, so I'm not sure if Kansas will do anything there. But I think you can look at other spots throughout the course of the team. Does Kansas decide to do another offensive lineman with Dominic Pooney and Mike Davitsky leaving? Do they decide to go get another linebacker with Rich Miller and Craig Young leaving, right? You can look at those departures and maybe piece together where Kansas is going to go looking. So it's going to be a really fascinating next month, right? We're going to learn Kansas' bowl schedule. They're going to try and finish out this high school class that is insanely talented. Like, if you go look across the country at the guys Kansas has committed and the numbers they're putting up as seniors, it's incredibly impressive. So for me, this point in time is so important for Kansas to not only finish this high school recruiting class strong, but fill those gaps in the roster so that when spring ball comes around, you can start building that continuity for next fall. And hey, maybe it's a boring spring for transfers and Kansas doesn't need to do a lot. That's the perfect case because then you've got guys building continuity and reps together and developing. So those are just some of my thoughts, right? I think this is a game that maybe isn't super interesting with the way it plays out, but I still think this is going to be a fascinating next month ahead. And as always, we'll have you covered at Fogg.net. We've got a great VIP sale going on. If you're not VIP, you really should be joining. You can join today for $2.25 a month for the next year. They get you through the KU football offseason, the KU regular season for basketball, the KU basketball offseason, the KU football recruiting cycle next summer, and all the way through next football season. Like, it's the perfect time to sign up. You're getting everything and you get to try it out, see if you like it, and I have a feeling you'll want to stick around. So thanks as always for listening. Stay tuned to Fogg.net for all sorts of Kansas coverage.